I'm really pleased to be able to welcome today Amy Burvall. Amy lives in Hawaii. She's based in the US, but she's been over in the UK for Learning Live. She's a creative consultant, someone who works on creativity and learning in both an analog and a digital way. So Amy, it's wonderful to have you here, and I'm really looking forward to being able to talk to you.
Thank you. I love being here. Thanks.
So creativity, why would I bother? Why do you think creativity has anything to do with corporate learning in a world of data and metrics and hard-edged budgets? How do you define and defend your patch?
I think creativity is the most important and essential skill for anyone. One of the major reasons is because the world is changing and we're living in this sort of fluid economy, a creative economy, if you will. And people are going to need to think on their feet and be agile thinkers, chameleon-like, and remix ideas and play with ideas and create new things, because we live in an unpredictable world.
Okay, so if you want agile thinkers, how does that link across to creativity? How would you define creativity?
I always think of creativity as dot connecting disparate dots, finding juxtapositions and connections that perhaps the normal person can't see. And you can actually train yourself to be more creative through several strategies and practicing. Part of it includes cultivating a sense of wonder and mindfulness. Part of it is reflection. Part of it is growing a network of sort of creative soulmates who can help you out and work with you. And part of this, of course, is collaboration. One significant part of creativity that people often ignore is the fact that it can actually be scheduled. We think of creativity as freedom, but it's really best done with constraints. So if you're working with a group of people trying to get them to ideate, to come up with new ideas or better ideas, or remix old ideas into something a little more interesting. You want to help them cultivate a network they can rely on for inspiration. You want to help them be able to play, so the sense of fun and sort of grow a creative confidence. You want to help them think of different perspectives, and this is where that kind of water cooler effect comes in. I was watching a wonderful show called Art and Copy about the Mad Men era of advertising, and one of the most impactful things they did was they moved the art and copy people to the same level, to the same floor. They were on separate floors before, and changed the world of advertising because you need these different perspectives. I was also reading something about engineers wanting to have a resident artist in their ideation sessions because artists just think differently and they need those other perspectives. Einstein called this combinatorial play. And I think when we can get people to play together with ideas, seek out different perspectives, and practice creative strategies together. One of the things I often do with groups is called blind dates. So you kind of force connections from different areas.
Okay, so I think how is a really interesting question. So listening to you, I like what you're saying. I think we could do with a few more ideas in my organisation. What would you do? Do you need people to be in a room together? Can you work with them online? Do you fling in ideas and get them to react, or do you manage groups? How do you actually operate?
So going back to creative constraints, I think this is important when you can provide a set of limitations for somebody.
Yes.
Also, looking at metaphorical thinking is really important. So throwing out something like an analogy strategy where people force analogies, because this is a big part of communication actually, is looking for metaphors and analogies. It makes things sticky. A game that I play is actually just having people put Post-its on the wall of different nouns, abstract, some concrete, and then they grab two things, say horse and wind, and they try to force a connection between horse and wind.
Not too difficult. I think I can do that.
So they travel, they can get angry, they carry things. So this kind of strategy helps your brain become a little more agile at this type of thinking. Another one is many designers think that the best design comes from maximizing all five senses. So get somebody to think about a product, for example. How can we how can we change this product? How can we take away something, remove something, mix it with a different idea to create a better product? And perhaps maximize the five senses. So you could, maybe something is not appealing to the sense of smell. So how could you add something to it, for example, or mix it with a different...
So have you got a toolbox? Have you got a toolbox with maybe hundreds of ideas in it, and you just mix and match the tools depending on the group, what's required, the time constraints and so on? Is that how you work?
Yes, I do. And a lot of my tools are analog, and of course a lot of them are digital. The tool thing isn't actually a fun experiment. If you have a bag of tools, I learned this at Google, they offer a bag of tools, and the tools could be a group of passionate friends, it could be Instagram, it could be Twitter, it could be Paint, and then they have problems. So this is great for problem solving. So whatever problem you're trying to solve in your organization, and you draw the problem and you draw the tool, and then you discuss how that tool would accomplish that problem.
Yeah. So randomly, you take these two things and you just work on solving the problem using the tool, and there's the problem. Okay.
Yes. And then you can mix and match with other people, and you can remix ideas and build on them. And that's a wonderful process of ideation.
Sure.
Actually.
So what happens, is that what you hope is? What happens is that people leave your session not just having gone through an experience, but with some ideas that allow them to recreate a similar kind of experience themselves or with their colleagues. So you catalyze something that changes the organisation, the way they think about the world forever. Is that the idea?
Yes, that's the idea. And a big part of it is communication, because not only are we making things, but we need to communicate complex ideas. So part of the process is thinking metaphorically and making things simple for people. So condensing something into a visual, for example, or a metaphor that people can take, and it's very emotional and poignant. Poignant actually comes from a word that means to prick. So I always think of something being poignant as something sticky, which is what learning should be. And we are so involved in communication of ideas through social media or via presentations in the workforce or whatever. And people really need to practice thinking visually and metaphorically. So it's a huge part of my session.
Yeah, and they think visually and metaphorically because they come up with new stuff.
Right.
Yeah. And you are the generator of new stuff and new ideas and kind of new people in a way. You want them to change completely.
One of the most important things I think anyone can do is make an environment conducive to creativity. And one of the things that's handy is having this incubation time, having tools ready, and the chefs call this mise en place, having things at the ready. It could be either a network, it could be physical tools, it could be digital tools that people can tinker with, for example, video making tools. And I think even in a conference situation, for example, having a space where it invites people to come and play and network together and make things together, this sort of collaborative creativity is very important.
Amy, it's really good to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
You too.
Thank you.